Dear Harstem, I hope you're enjoying the spring and that you're in healthy and productive circumstances. For sake of clarity, allow me to start with what I claim to be imbalanced. The claim is as follows. In Terran vs Zerg, on the map Crimson Court LE, lurkers are imbalanced against Terran bio. Note here that I do not say anything about lurkers in general. However, I believe that the very peculiar layout of the aforementioned map makes lurkers too strong against bio. This map has the particularity of being organized in straight, narrow corridors. In order to go to your opponent's base, you can't avoid these narrow chokes. Since the AoE of lurkers works in straight lines, I think that they are overpowered on this map. As in the Battle of Thermopylae, the Zerg with a few lurkers, in analogy with the Leonidas-led 300 Spartans, are able to hold a much more consequent Terran force, in analogy with the Persian army. The replay I've attached to this report is, I believe, a good illustration of this imbalance claim. I would like to conclude by offering some remarks about how this game went. I played the standard CCC Reaper Hellion Banshee build order. I think my build order execution was more or less correct, although it might not be entirely perfect. You might argue that I don't harass enough with my Hellions, but losing them makes it very difficult to land the third, so I like to keep them safe. My opponent defended very well the mid game and dragged me into the late game, where he was able to brilliantly abuse the lurkers. I might have left a bit too early, but at that point it was for me already clear that lurkers are a bit too strong on the map, and my hands hurt too much, as I have weak joints. Let's be honest here, I do suck, but the lurkers are also unbalanced on this map. Thank you for taking the time to read. This lengthy novel was sent in to me by Kenobi, a North American Diamond Terran player with 3912 MMR, saying that in Terran vs Zerg, on the map Crimson Court, lurkers are imbalanced against Terran bio. So let's investigate that claim. Now, before we truly get into the nitty-gritty of this game, we have to talk about how the claim is set up. What did he say? In TVZ, on Crimson Court, lurkers are imbalanced against bio. There's like so many qualifiers there that it's almost completely useless. You're always going to find specific scenarios in which a unit will perform extraordinarily well. For example, if you were capable of putting a tank on this particular high ground and then you have 500 zealots on the low ground, in that particular scenario, tanks would be way too good against zealots. But that is such a limited scenario, and that is also kind of how the game is supposed to work, is that every unit kind of has its specialty. So in a map with narrow chokes, if the Terran is idiotic enough to build pure bio, the lurker should be performing well. If the lurker is not performing well at that point, it's never gonna perform well, and it's practically a useless unit. Like, basically what Kenobi did was describe the purpose of the lurker in his imbalance complaint form and then said it is imbalanced. But in that case, a Void Ray is also imbalanced against Ultras, and the Oracle is also imbalanced against Ultras. Because it's a melee ground unit that can't attack air. It's like, yeah, the Ultra's garbage. In this case, it is true that the Ultra's kind of garbage, but just because of that interaction, you can't really say that. That's such a... You're picking such a small part out of it. It makes no sense. Like, you wouldn't say that the Baneling is bad because it can't kill an Archon. It's like... The Baneling is not a terrible unit and the Archon is an imbalance because of that one interaction. There's asymmetrical balance in StarCraft 2, and every unit kind of has its niche purpose. In a way, Terran is the most complete race, and that's maybe why Kenobi is a little bit confused here, because his units do everything most of the time. The tank, always good. The Marine, always good. The Marauder, yeah, works. Thumbs up. The Ghost, yeah, I get more. Oh, perfect. Medevacs, woo, let's go, baby. It's like, he has units that are good for every single situation. But then he starts complaining about the fact that his opponent's units are okay or good in a single situation on one particular map. So even if I were to grant him that lurkers are overpowered, which I'm not granting yet, by the way, I'm absolutely not granting that yet, it is completely useless. It is meaningless. Then next week I'm gonna get 5 complaint forms about the fact that their mass ultras can't beat the 500 Void Rays. It's like, yeah, I guess imbalance in this situation. It's like, that's not really how you should view StarCraft. Like, this is just not how it works. Like, a unit is imbalanced if it is too good in too many situations. If the lurker is very powerful in one particular situation, in 1 out of the 9 maps, by the way, which you can just veto before you hit the freaking find match button. And if you're playing tournaments, you can just veto it because you have 3 vetoes per person in the standard best of 3 format. You can veto this map. This is such a non-issue. This is an absolute non-issue. This is like complaining that your feet get wet when you're wearing flip-flops outside when it's raining. It's like, well, maybe you should just wear some shoes instead of flip-flops. Who wears flip-flops anyway when it rains? There's something wrong with you and your head then. Either way, Kenobi here opening up with as mentioned, a triple CC, cheeky little supply block coming in. He also said though that his execution wasn't perfect, but so far, honestly, this looks really good. This is a nice 6 Hellion, double Banshee into 3 Rex opener. This is one of the most standard openers currently in the Terran versus Zerg matchup, and it is being executed well here. There's not a lot of build order mistakes. Yes, we had some minor depot trouble and maybe still have some minor depot trouble, but I don't mind that. If you're just executing a build well, I don't care whether you're continuously harassing or not. I just want you to not be floating a lot of money. And right now, that's definitely not the case. There's not a whole lot of cash in the bank, and it's actually looking good. Double Banshees could be used for a bit of harass. I always rather have people focus on their build order rather than their harass. And then once you've got the build order down completely, you don't make any mistakes there anymore, you can start focusing a bit on the harass. And that's kind of how Kenobi is doing it. And I appreciate that. I also like that the Hellions are just at home, making sure that Ling run binds can't happen, because that's something that's very frustrating if you're a Terran player that doesn't have Clem-like Hellion control, where you're constantly poking and seeing how many Lings are moving out. It's very, very difficult for, especially, a bit lower level Terran players to play against Ling run by. So here come the double Banshees. They're just going to be moving to the dead space for a little bit. So the 3rd CC has landed at this point as well. I also was thinking, by the way, about the Battle of Thermopylae. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not a huge history buff, but I don't think the Persians there had Ghost in their army with snipes, with sniper rifles, the ability to nuke entire positions. I feel like that battle would have been significantly different otherwise. And Kenobi does have access to that unit, the Ghost. And with its snipe ability, outranges, well, similar range as the Lurker. And with tanks, you can outrange the Lurker. So, although it's a fun analogy to draw up, because everyone has seen the movie 300 at this point, I don't think it's extremely accurate, because you have so many good tools at your disposal to deal with such a kind of a sieged up setup out of the Zerg. I'm actually very impressed, by the way, by Kenobi's early game here. This is really good stuff. I'm also a fan of the double load up, just sending it across the map. He's keeping his bases defended. He's playing very solid. Honestly, good macro. Nice barracks setup as well. Is basically in time with his armory, and is hitting relatively tight timings. His harass has been extremely subpar, but as mentioned before, I don't actually care so much about this. If your macro is this good at this level in Diamond, I'm like, yeah, you go for it, buddy. Like, you're hitting okay timings here. And, the opponent's going to be struggling with money as well. If you're not struggling with money, you're going to be in a better spot. Forward base on the way already. Second factory. He's actually just... The theoretical part, and actually the executional part, is really good so far. I'm very, very impressed by this. Not a huge fan of these Banshees losing all their energy or being in this dead space the entire time in general, but still, this is actually quite cool. This is nice to see. And even then, second set of drops moving towards the right side, so we get these split armies, which is exactly what you want to be doing. If the control remains somewhat okay during all of this, I'm actually going to be quite happy here as a Kenobi enjoyer. For sure. Sucks that these minerals aren't down yet, otherwise you could unload and then stim into this general area. Where the hell are these medevacs going, by the way? Oh, they're just gonna unload over here. At the same time, we have this group towards the right side. Combat shield is now finished up. 1-1 upgrades are here as well. Spine's gonna get targeted down, as Biles do miss this main army, and Link's actually falling. Okay fight for Kenobi, who's pulling ahead in supply by quite a lot. That's mainly because Jackal... isn't really spending his cash too well. He is floating about 4k resources, but honestly, credits to Kenobi that he isn't floating any resources. He's now doing some minor multitasking, or at least being active on the map with his units. He's adding in the barracks in time as well. I think this has been one of the better diamond games that I've seen in a long time coming out of Kenobi here. Yes, he's not under pressure, but he's in firm control of this game. He has very, very good supply. The only thing that's really missing here is a push out. Yeah, but this is perfect. Honestly, so far, you're completely destroying Jackal. And all of that is just due to the fact that you have a build order that you're executing well. That you're executing and really just putting the buildings down at the right time, building the units at the right time. Your control on the units has been okay. Not brilliant, but definitely good enough. As we see a couple more Marines here most likely being taken out. We'll lift the rest of these up. Rocks now being blasted here as well. We have a single drop heading towards the main base at the same time. Fort base, not quite mining yet. I'd love to see a couple more workers. There's 3 Vipers and a Lurker that are now on the way. And here comes the push. So what do we have army-wise? We have 54 Marines against 13 Roaches, 2 Hydras, 8 Ravagers. And that's it, really. This feels like a win. If the tanks were siege pre-fight, this definitely would have been a win. Even now, without this, the tanks being siege pre-fight, this is a massive W here for... What? Why are we unsieging? Please don't do that. Okay. I feel like if he had sieged properly before the fight and did unsiege midway through, the game would already be over. Although the game is already over. So the game has officially... Well, not officially, but unofficially has now ended. This should technically be impossible for Kenobi to lose. Because Kenobi is up about 30-40 supply. He's dealing quite a bit of eco damage. He has a massive army. Got majority of his tanks alive. Has the ability to now start transitioning into Ghost as well. Should really continue his upgrades. Has been dropping the ball a bit on the macro in the past minute or so. Now starts SCV production up again. I'd love to see a 5th base as well. Maybe over here. I think that's a good spot for a 5th. And you can take out these rocks and you can kind of... You hold this area. It's really funny, by the way, that a Terran talks about narrow chokes being good for Zerg, because narrow chokes are actually really good for Terran. So it's not even true. I didn't even catch that. I feel like I'm just being gaslit because there's so many crap claims being thrown around here by Kenobi that I forgot about the fact that small chokes are actually good for Terran, not for Zerg. As Kenobi now is going to siege up all 5 of his tanks in the exact same spot, which is impressive. If this was a stacking competition, I think Kenobi would have definitely won, because these tanks are well stacked. Look at that! Freaking 3 Blinding Clouds disabling like 90% of the tanks in this army for majority of it. Despite that, Kenobi with an unstimped army is still just gonna roll in forward and take out this base. He's gonna reset his opponent. There's just 4 tanks here in the back. Holding the flank in case the rocks start moving. Kenobi recently watched Lord of the Rings and you remember what those trees could do. It's like, what if these rocks also can do it? That looks scary. Saruman over here is pooping his pants. Okay, we have 3 ghosts on the way. I mean, we're still winning extremely hard. And funnily enough, now that I think about it, I mean, I just keep... My brain is not working so fast yet today, but... This map is actually considered one of the best Terran maps due to the small chokes. Whenever I talk with other Zerg players, it's really hard for them. Because there's so many sick positions you can put tanks in, behind mineral patches, and you can spread it out. And then there's really only a single area you can attack from, and like a single flank that you have. Once again, no pre-siege here, and the siege is right on top of one another. So a single Blinding Cloud disabling 3 tanks. Now, these tanks are gonna activate at this point, as we have some random unsieged tanks coming in from the side. We still have 4 tanks in the far back guarding this Mil Karak, as the 12 medevacs now boost back. Don't pick up the unsieged tank. No need. Absolutely not. That was a god-awful fight. But despite it being a god-awful fight, due to the stellar macro of Kenobi over here, I'm actually somewhat okay with it. Like, these fights, they should have been absolute wins for Kenobi. He should be up like 7k in the resource loss. He's only up 5k, actually. It's not as bad as I thought it was. But he fought most of his fights without majority of the tanks. And also with them not sieged up. So actually, maybe it should have just been double. Honestly. I mean, he's been fighting, what, mainly Roach armies so far. Yeah, a couple of Lurkers have gone down. A couple of Hydras. Some Vipers. But yeah, mainly Roach armies. 3,400 minerals. Only 100 gas in the bank here for Jackal, who now has the IMBA Lurker set up on the right side. Another funny thing here, by the way, is that Kenobi's army isn't actually really a Terran bio army. This is just Ghost. Well, I mean, there's a lot of bios still around, but the units that should be doing the heavy lifting here are definitely going to be the tanks and the Ghost. you know? The Marines are not meant to deal with lurkers, in my mind at least. Like in the mind of the Terran, the Marine is supposed to deal with everything. That was a nice move as well. I wanna just slowly do that one again. Slowly. Yeah, for Terrans, it's a bit the opposite of Einstein. You know what did Einstein say again? It was, if you judge a fish, a goldfish, by its ability to climb, you're always gonna think you have a stupid goldfish. Terran players are people that would flame their goldfish. Because they want their Marine to be capable of doing everything. You know, like, oh, I can't kill the lurker, it sucks. This is a beautiful move, look at that. There's like 7 ghosts at once. That was good. I also love, by the way, I think this is the choke that Kenobi is thinking about. Look at this. He's walking through an area where one mineral patch has been removed in a line. This is what he had in mind. What did he say? This map has the particularity of being organized in straight, narrow corridors. In order to go to your opponent's base, you can't avoid those narrow chokes. You can't avoid those narrow chokes. Bro, you can mine them. They're literally single patches. They're single trip mines. You could send 5 SCVs here and in 2 trips have all of this gone. How is this possible? You can't avoid these narrow chokes? But not if you come from the left side and didn't bring SCVs. He just walked through the choke of all chokes, didn't use the snipe ability until he was in range of every single lurker, then loses 6 ghosts, and then starts complaining. Oh, I got brain damage. It's like, yeah, you do. Tanks in the far back, perfectly incapable of shooting anything as well. Love to see it. Love to see it. That is so smart. God, you're just so brilliant, aren't you? Parasitic Bomb is gonna connect to his medevac. Beautiful to see. This actually frustrates the ever-living crap out of me. Especially because even with this choke, you could still just use the ghost snipe ability. You actually could. You actually could just snipe these lurkers. You could scan, queue up 5 snipes, then shift-click them back right after, and you would just win the fight. I do like this move. I wish there were medevacs. Okay, there's one medevac. I think this is a good move. Kenobi is a man of 2 minds. You know how they always talk about like the 2 halves of the left and the right side of the brain? I think Kenobi just has 2 brains in general. One that works and one that doesn't. And every now and then the bad one gets turned on whenever fights start. The macro brain is working extremely well here. And just the general unit movement is also quite good. It's just, whenever we start fighting, it's like he just forgets everything about StarCraft altogether. I'm like, what am I watching here? And what is this excessive... Like, this guy has all the vision in the world. He sees the spore over here. Like what? I just don't understand what the point is of trying to stim 9 Marines, 2 Marauders into this spore lurker spine wall. Like, I like the play going in with the lurkers, and you could unsiege them and siege them again and deal with the lurkers and then maybe go with this, or you could just try and harass these drones. But I just don't get the point of what we just saw here. I just don't get it. Despite all of this, by the way, I would once again like to stress that Kenobi is practically in an unlosable position. He has an army consisting of 7 tanks, 3 ghosts, 9 marauders, 20 marines, against 11 lurkers, 10 hydras. He has about 20 more workers. He has exactly 20 more workers. He is 5 base against 5 base, but he also has an extra backup already here with this orbital command. He's now gonna take out this 5th base, which hasn't mined a single penny quite yet. Like, he's freaking cruising right now, alright? Jackal is cruising. I'd love to see Liberator range, by the way. Fusion core, Liberator range, yes sir. Do like that. Let me stack up those tanks a little bit further as well. Maybe we can put all 7 on the exact same location, so a single blinding cloud is all that's necessary to clear it. More lurkers now on the way. This is so funny to me, because whenever I talk with other Zerg players, or whenever I watch Zerg games, the lurker is a unit that once tank ghost comes out, is not being used defensively in defending chokes anymore. It's used in Niduses or to hold like a base with like 1 or 2 lurkers while you're doing big Hydra-Link Bane attacks. Like the lurker is not like this super ultra turtle unit. The siege! Okay, sieges. Nice. Takes out the lurker. Honestly, decent fight. As a Hydra drop is now clearing the entire main base. Big scan forward. We could leapfrog with portions of our tanks. This is an advanced move. How is it possible that he moves into lurker range? Just scanning. He's gonna still win. This is so frustrating to watch because despite all of these mistakes, he's still destroying his opponent. He's owning his opponent and it's not even close. EMP, 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 EMP or snipe? What are we looking at this point? Like seriously? Marines? Okay, scan. Moves his army forward. Snipes. Snipes, snipes. Then moves back. Main base Hydras, are they being cleaned up? Still not quite the case. Looks at his main base for a little longer. Oh, and here they go. It's just like he's not paying attention to his army. Does he not know that he can move the screen up so he can see further? It's like he's continuously just locked into his army. He's still winning. He's still winning. I shouldn't be complaining about this. I am getting upset though. I am actually getting upset. Loving this rally towards the top left. Love that this was cleaned up. Would like a little bit of repair here as well. This game is so uber over, it actually hurts me. We now have 15 lurkers though. That is a decent lurker count. But let's not forget about the fact that we're right now on 4 base versus soon to be 6. Kenobi is up in eco, is up in upgrades, is up in army composition. Really, Liberator range here would be fantastic. Oh, nice one. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, stim forward again. Bring the mules in as well. Why did we lose? No, it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. Even losing these last, like 20, 25 supply for free, I don't think it matters. Although at this point, no more ghosts. Tank count at 4. Liberators, only 2. Yes, he's still very far ahead and outmining his opponent by a factor of 3. Right about there. Oh, he's gonna manage to siege up these tanks in the same spot. Another Liberator gets sieged right into a spore. And he walks with bio into lurkers. It's like he has a checklist of the worst moves possible. It's like someone gave him a list of like the top 5 mistakes to avoid. Like he watched a YouTube video and he believes it's a checklist. It's like, it's unbelievable. Bio into lurker, check. Tanks all on the same spot, so Vipers can hit Blinding Cloud, check. Ghost, move commanded into lurkers too, check. Alright, think I'm ready to win the game now. It's absolutely unbelievable. And the funny thing is that he's doing a good job denying. Like, the general thoughts behind the unit movement are so good. Like, just the 2 sides and knowing what to do in the game. Until any type of unit control comes into play. Like, legit, any type of unit. Oh, he splits him! Hey, confetti. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. What a great split. Yeah, sadly, this army... Well, actually, that went pretty well. Not gonna lie. I thought it was gonna go worse. That went pretty well. Freaking Terran units, eh? Could you imagine? Even just a tiny... Oh, come on. Why would he focus down the freaking spore first? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Kevin. This game is still over. It actually doesn't matter. Took out this base. Yes, he's gonna lose this one. Planetary, yeah, he's getting a couple of kills. Oh, did he just try to micro one of his own Hydras back? That was kind of cute. Okay, this is all up repaired as well. This has been taken out. 700 mineral income against 1800. It is really difficult for me to imagine how Kenobi is actually gonna manage to lose this game. Because at this point, there's also only a single lurker remaining. 4 more on the way. But right now there's a single lurker. Also, I wouldn't mind seeing some more SCVs, by the way. Loving getting the rich Vespine guys are here, by the way. As well as these extra gases. He looks at his resource counts like, 4,200 gas, 300 minerals. I know where my real priorities are right now. It starts 2 more gases. Saturates it. He wants gas so badly, he's putting 5 SCVs into this one. Very neat. 4 more ghosts on the way. What's the lurker count now? 11, actually. Has grown quite a bit again. That's good. 108 supply to 190. Gets a full scan here of this army. Full scan. That's big. Outranges the lurker force. With tanks. Not with the bio. You outrange just with the tanks, my friend. No ghost here to snipe, by the way. That means that these tanks can be pulled in. He's gonna move command some more bio forward. He's not actually thinking of attacking into this, is he? Oh, good split. Don't do it. A turret? You know this feeling in your stomach when you know something bad is about to happen. Like, he's here for too long. Like this, if you don't have tanks or ghost here, like this is not where we're going with our army. You know, like there's 4 more paths we can attack here, my friend. Okay, Liberator, move forward. I like this. Ghost from a distance with this snipe. Honestly, I feel like we could have given Kenobi a freaking sniper rifle in the battle of, what was it called? Thermopylae. He would have just walked up to his opponent and tried to smash him with the rifle. And then get destroyed by one of these well-trained Spartans. Holy crap. Holy crap. This guy is capable of losing a Void Ray to an Ultra. Like, he actually could do it. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I'm getting scammed. By who? Who is scamming you? You're scamming yourself with these fights. This is like buying 500 lottery tickets. No! You're not even dead! He has more... There's 5 orbital commands, 60 workers to 52. He just scanned the same spot 7 times. You could have just dropped on the left side, come back into Ghost and tanks. At some point, there were 17 lurkers on the map, or 20 or something like that, and you won that. You know how to do it. This guy's delusional. Oh no, what I was gonna say is that the only scam is you. This is like buying 500 lottery tickets, and then winning the lottery, and then eating the winning lottery ticket. And then complaining that you've been scammed by the lottery. And the guy behind the counter will look at you like you're insane, because you are insane. These fights were so bad. They really sucked. They really, really sucked. Which is crazy, because it's so easy. Because you outrange everything. Like, snipe plus tanks. That is very good against lurks. And just tanks is really good too. If you just would have sieged up your tanks at any point. Even in the smallest specific scenario that you sketched here in TVZ on the map Crimson Court with lurkers, I'm not even sure if I would say that they're imbalanced against Terran Bio. I think they're really good against Marine Marauder, but the Ghost is also Bio. And if you would have just used your Ghost somewhat correctly, I think you would have won this game so easily. So I'll partially grant this. I'll say that lurkers are good against Terran Bio. But that's not really imbalanced. That's just what... I mean, that's just what it is. Like, there's so many other counters to the lurker. But yes, if you're only building Marines and Marauders and you're running at them at full speed in a line, the lurker might just be the best unit in the game. But everything else, absolutely no way. Like, you actually freaking sucked in all fights. And despite that, you probably still had a win when you left the game. So a rage quit, insanity, and you suck. And that's it, my dear friend. I think that's actually just going to be it for me today. This one's not going to be good for my blood pressure. Thanks all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this one. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel, and we see all of you next time for a new video. Bye bye.